Hey everybody, it's Bolshi here, back with another Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous build video. If you like this build, make sure you like and subscribe. It will really help me grow the channel. Alright, check it out. Today we're going to be looking at a build specifically for the companion Seelah for Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. Seelah starts out a lawful good paladin of Iomedae, and I want to come up with a build for her that stays true to her character, but at the same time, I really hate paladins. They just don't offer a lot in terms of customization. So really the only thing on a base paladin you get to choose are your mercies. So what I did was I built her as an Oradin, which is a popular class combination in Pathfinder. We take a couple levels of paladin, and then we go the rest in the Oracle class. You end up with a really tough frontline melee character that's capable of tanking, healing, and buffing. My first playthrough with Seelah was a 3-person party where Seelah was the main tank. So a lot of the choices in this build are going to be with defense in mind. Now Seelah starts out level 1 as a paladin. She starts out with the feats of dodge, shield focus, which are good defensive feats to start off with. And she's got high strength, reasonable dexterity and constitution, and pretty high charisma as well. So our second level, you can see I took second level in Paladin. That gives us Divine Grace. So for the rest of the game, we get to add our charisma bonus to all saving throws. And at level 3 is when I jump into Oracle, just base Oracle here. So I really want to maintain Seelah as kind of like a warrior for good, warrior of the divine. And this is the path I chose. So actually what I did here was we want to get rank 3 mobility because she's going to be fighting defensively. And after that, I kind of maxed out persuasion and religion with her. But really for your party, whatever skills you're missing, she can pick up. Our first feat is going to be improved unarmed strike. We are going to go the crane feats here. Like I said, I built this as a tank, so we definitely want to pick up those crane feats, and that's a prerequisite. The curse here is really up to you. I think the one that has the least amount of drawbacks is Wolfsguard Face, if you're min-maxing. If you want to come up with a story for her, this is a good place to kind of role play, but I went with Wolfsguard Face. And mystery, I went with battle. First of all, the battle mystery gives you a ton of great spells, a lot of which are not on the Cleric Oracle spell list to begin with, like Enlarge Person, Legendary Proportions. So getting those spells for free is really nice. Magical Vestment is also a great spell. It can buff everybody's AC. And eventually what we're going to do is we're going to take the second revelation and go life so that I can get these spells and the life revelations as well. Our first revelation, since we got martial weapon proficiency from the paladin, we're going to go with weapon mastery. And I kind of built her as your pretty standard paladin of Iomedae or warrior of Iomedae. So I went with longsword. And these revelations are really great because we get weapon focus at level 1. At 8th level we get improved critical for free, and at 12th level we're going to get greater weapon focus, which you wouldn't get normally you can't get this feat unless you're a fighter. And our first couple of spells I went with Divine Favor and Shield of Faith. Shield of Faith is nice so that you can buff yourself and your party's AC. So every level from here on out is an Oracle. We're going to take our 4th level in Oracle. I bumped up Strength as much as possible. I did want her to be effective in melee. Persuasion, Religion, and I also had her cook. So, Knowledge World there. She gets Enlarged Person as a bonus spell. And at this point in the game, I was kind of buffing Seelah by herself. So I had Ninio in the party, and she would buff my main character, and then Seelah was kind of responsible for buffing herself. Our feat is going to be, at 5th level, I actually prioritize Outflank over Crane Style, just so melee can all have that. Our revelation at 5th level is going to be Warsight, which allows us to roll twice for initiative. At 7th level we get Uncanny Dodge, so we can't be flat-footed, and at 11th level we get to roll 3 times for initiative and take the best result. I took Bless as my next spell here. More Oracle. Any skills you want. Now at this point there's some really good choices at second level. Things I found myself using a lot were Align Weapon. There's a lot of enemies in the game that have damage reduction that can be negated if your weapon is aligned to be good. So this, as a minute per level buff, adds a lot of damage. Level 7. Our feat at level 7 is going to be Crane Style. And we're pretty much going to be fighting defensively all the time now. Get another first level spell. Remove Fear is really good. It's a 10-minute buff, and if you cast it on somebody who is frightened, it cancels out the frightened effect. So I think at this point in the game, there's a few enemies that will either cause you to be shaken or frightened, and if you drop this on them, then they're no longer frightened. The next spell I like to go with in second level is Lesser Restoration for ability damage. Having this on command as a spontaneous caster really helps me out. More strength. Skills out of the way. And third level, I prioritize Arcan's Aura here. This gives a -2 penalty to attack rolls, saving throws, and armor class if they fail their wisdom save, and it's a minute per level buff, so this is really good. This is honestly so good that it's worth taking heightened spell for, so that you can have Arcan's Aura at every spell level to make sure that the difficulty check is still high. I didn't do that on this build, but it's definitely worth considering. Okay, at level 9, our feat is going to be Crane Wing. I'm kind of prioritizing Crane feats first. Getting that AC ramp at this point in the game is pretty important. There's really nothing exceptional about her AC. You know, an Oracle doesn't have anything other than spells to boost AC. So getting these Crane feats is pretty important. And here I went with Combat Healer, which is kind of glitchy right now, but once a day you can cast a Quickened Heal for off healing or for yourself if you get in trouble. First level spell, I can't remember. I think at this point we have all the good ones. Yeah, maybe Unbreakable Heart. Kind of the same idea as Remove Fear. If you have a spell that relies on negative emotions, then you can cast this on them and it will suppress the effect of that spell for its duration. At this point I went with Remove Paralysis. That's nice to have on demand. There's not a whole lot of other things. I mean, getting the heal spells is good too. I guess we already have those naturally. Effortless Armor is another good one. Here I went with Prayer. It's a nice luck buff for your whole party. Not a lot of luck buffs in the game, so it's very nice to have. Skills, this is where we get to pick what weapon we get improved critical from. This is from Weapon Mastery, our first revelation. So I'm going all in on Longsword. And I use Radiance with Seelah. So it's a weapon you get really early in the game, and as you progress through the story, the weapon gets upgraded. So that was a great choice for her. First spell here, Crusader's Edge. This is a phenomenal weapon. It gives you Bane property for evil outsiders, which are all demons. And the Bane weapon property is you get +2 to hit on top of your weapon's normal enhancement bonus, and you also do an extra 2d6 force damage, which isn't reduced by damage reduction. And also, if you hit a evil outsider, they have to make a saving throw or they'll be nauseated, so they basically get stunned for 1 to 3 rounds. This is a fantastic buff. If you have a lot of melee in your group, you should try and keep this up at all times. Skills out of the way. Let's see here. At 11, we can pick up Crane Riposte. This is our final feat in the Crane suite. Now we're taking only a -1 penalty on attack rolls for fighting defensively. And we get to make attacks of opportunity when something hits us or gets close to hitting us with Crane Wing active. I think at this point I took Effortless Armor. And Resist Energy Communal for my third level spell. There are other good spells here. Animate Dead is always nice. I'm not really a big fan of summoning spells. Delay Poison Communal is something you want to have. You can get it from scrolls. I think at some point I actually did pick this up on Seelah. just because I didn't want to have to buy scrolls all the time. Remove curse and disease are helpful as well. And blindness as well. Here I went with Divine Power. This is a round per level buff that gives you a luck bonus to attack, damage, and strength checks. It also gives you an extra attack like haste. This is an amazing short duration buff, and that's actually something that this build is really good at. When you need something to die quickly, there's a number of round per level buffs that are extremely strong that you can cast on yourself. This is the first. I guess Prayer is actually the first. That's a good round per level buff. Skills out of the way. 5th level spells. Let's see, the first one I went with here was True Seeing. The more True Seeing you get at this point in the game, the better. There's a lot of enemies that have mirror image, displacement, illusion spells that prevent you from hitting them. This completely negates those. So this is a really great spell to have here. At level 13, we're going to take another level in Oracle. Our feat is going to be Dazzling Display. We're working up towards Shatter Defenses later. And our Revelation, at this point, I think it was Mythic rank 3. I took 2nd Mystery Life. So now we get the, the Life Revelations as well as the Battle Revelations. And at this point in the game, I took Channel just because I was using healing potions a lot. And having Channel out of combat to heal up your party just cuts down on downtime a lot. And because we're charisma based, the Oracle is a charisma based caster, we actually get to do this a lot. Some more 2nd level spells. I can't remember what I chose at this point. We already have all the good ones, so maybe Find Traps for more perception. Grace is nice sometimes when you want to run as a swift action without getting attacks of opportunity. And I would choose one of these remove spells depending on what you're getting hit with the most. Some diseases have really high DC, so they're hard to get off with religion checks, so that could be helpful. And at this point, our 4th level spell, there's a lot of good ones here. I think I went with Protection from Energy, which is always nice. It's nice to have a spell that you can cast on the fly that can do, 5 different things. Acid, cold, electricity, fire, sonic reduction is nice to have on the fly. I also eventually picked up Death Ward because there was just a lot of energy drain at this point in the game. And our 5th level spell, I believe here I went with Burst of Glory, which is a sacred bonus to attack rolls and saves for your whole party. Very rare to get sacred bonuses. And again, another round per level buff, which is what Divine Casters kind of specialize in. Next level. We get our Greater Weapon Focus for a longsword. And at 6th level, let's see here, we get some things for free. We get Heal for free from our Life Revelation, and we get Bull's Strength for free, so don't take those. I think at this point I chose Eagle Soul, which is a really strong round per level buff. You get +2 Sacred bonus to AC, +4 Sacred bonus to Strength, which stacks with everything else, +5 Sacred bonus on Persuasion checks, initiative checks, fast healing, all crits confirm against evil creatures. All these things are really solid buffs. Level 15. Our feat at level 15, now we can get Shatter Defenses. And hopefully somebody in your party is going to be intimidating things. If you have a Bard with Dirge of Doom, somebody with Dazzling Display, something along these lines. We want something to be auto-intimidating so that we can attack flat-footed AC. We're going to pick that up in a couple of levels, actually, when we get Frightful Aspect. But for now, we want somebody else doing it. I think I went with Cleanse for myself here for level 5. Having Raise Dead on command is nice too, because occasionally people do go down. Up to you, though. And our 6th level spell, I think I went with Inspiring Recovery here, again, to be able to raise somebody that drops down real quick. I'm not entirely sure, actually. I know that for the most part, I used Heal and Eagle Soul, and anything after that was kind of a spell I didn't use. Level 7. We already get this for free because we took 2 levels in Paladin, but I would choose this. I don't know, maybe I'm missing something, but the level 7 spells are kind of underwhelming here. They're kind of limited by hit dice, and yeah, I'm not a big fan of the level 7 spells, so I think I went with Resurrection because we get Greater Restoration for free, and we get Legendary Proportions from Battle Revelation. Our feat at level 17. At this point, we're kind of picking up on damage since we've got all of our defensive abilities, so I went with Power Attack. And I went with Enhanced Cures. So your cure spells are no longer limited by level. Now, well, I shouldn't say they're not limited by level. Usually they have a maximum of like, 1d8 plus 5, but now you can add your full Oracle level. So your first Cure Light Wound spell would do 1d8 plus, in this case, 15, because we have 15 levels of Oracle. And it really gives you a lot of use out of those low-level healing spells that help you pick yourself up out of combat. I think I went with Break Enchantment here. Angelic Aspect is pretty good, but I'm going to pick up the greater version later. And Dispel Magic, greater, I think I chose at that point. These, maybe Holy Word, for a low level, trash mobs, this can be good. Alright, level 8. We get some good spells here. Holy Aura is great. This gives you immunity for 1 round per level to mind affecting spells. It gives you a bunch of stuff actually, but the most important thing to me is the immunity to mind affecting spells. So no enchantments, no illusions, all of those things that get cast at you. This is kind of your counter to those abilities. Level 19, more Oracle. Our feat at this point. I think at this point, this is kind of a filler feat. Whatever you think your weaknesses are that you want to fill up, this would be a good time to take. I think we have relatively low will saves, so Iron Will. You could take Toughness for more health. You could take a Skill Focus. Up to you. Level 7 spells. Maybe a Summoning spell would be good at this point. I went with Frightful Aspect here. Because we, Holy Aura kind of takes priority. The mind affecting spells can really be a pain. But this now gives us automatic Shaken by Aura. So we don't need to cast any abilities to have everybody shaken, which is really nice for shatter defenses and other things. And finally, level 18 Oracle. Don't bump up Strength because you had an even number here. I would probably bump up Charisma, which is nice to get that extra bonus to Smite Evil, heals, and things like that. We get Mass Heal as an 8th level spell from our Life Revelation, so don't take that. I think that I would probably take Winds of Vengeance here, which is a really nice buff for your tank. You get full concealment against ranged attacks. If a creature hits you, you can lash out and make an immediate attack for 5d8 bludgeoning damage. And I think you get a much higher speed. I didn't actually reach this point in the game with Seelah. I hit level 19 on Seelah, so I didn't get to try out this spell. But as I was looking at him, this looks like the strongest one. We already have Mass Heal. Alright, for Mythic Path, you have a lot of options. Oracles have a lot of choices here. I went with Thundering Blows, just because at this point in the game, with a 3-person party and my main character's build really hadn't come online, we were short damage. And this is guaranteed damage just about every round when it counts, because when you miss, you get some sonic damage. So there were many times at this point in the game where my party had died, except for Seelah, and Thundering Blows was just doing all the work. So I like that. Mythic rank 2, I took extra Mythic ability and took Abundant Casting here. Mythic rank 3 is when I took my 2nd Mystery Life. So that's the down, where is it here? It's a Mythic ability. second mystery here. And then you choose life. And you get all those life spells. And if you hit level 20, like with a main character, you get the life final revelation as well. And we also get those revelations. So that was important. At Mythic rank 4, I chose Improved Abundant Casting, Abundant Smite at Mythic rank 5. And this really gets the most out of those 2 Paladin levels. So now I think we're smiting like 5 or 6 times a day. And since this scales primarily with Charisma, this is a really nice buff to the class. And then finally at Mythic rank 6, which is when 7th, 8th, and 9th level spells were kind of coming online, we went with Greater Abundant Casting. For gear, nothing too fancy here. I just tried to max out Strength and Charisma as much as possible. There are a couple of items here that really help out with Paladins. So I can't remember where I got this, but it gives you an extra use of Smite Evil. That's nice for her since we only took 2 levels. We don't get that many smites. Radiance, Shield. And this item, I can't remember where I picked this up either, but now your Smite Evil changes the AC to Sacred, so that stacks with your Shield of Faith, Ring of Protection bonuses, which is really nice as well. And everything else is just standard. I just, always heavy armor here, just take the highest AC you can grab. That's pretty much it. So, all together with, round pro level buffs like Prayer, Divine Power, Righteous Might, Burst of Glory, Eagle Soul. What else have we got? Holy Aura. I mean, those are a lot of really great round pro level buffs. So when you need something to really die fast, you pop those things. And by the way, this is just her self buffed. So all of these buffs are just things that she can cast on herself. And then we smite. And that's pretty much it. Let's see here. Plus 47 to hit as a tank, not too bad. With power attack and fighting defensively and everything. Let's see what her AC is. 67. So that's fully buffed. And that's also with the -2 from Shaken. So not bad. I never had a problem with her going down in my playthrough. She's very, very survivable. Very tough tank. And she's also got pretty good heals. Alright, that's the build. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.